Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna everyone. We are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, Creation, chapter number 5, Narada's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Sutta uvacha athatam sukham asina upasinam brihachapaha devarshihi praha viprashrim veenapanihi samayan iva. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sutta Goswami said, "Thus the sage amongst the gods, Narada, comfortably seated and apparently smiling, addressed the rishi amongst the Brahmanas, Vyasadeva. Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Hare Krishna, Gita ji.
Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna everyone. So we are starting a new chapter, chapter number 5, where we will see how Narad Muni is going to motivate and encourage Vyasadeva to glorify Krishna. And in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada mentions that when we have started hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not just to understand it theoretically, but also to put it into practice. And just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam can cleanse one's heart. So we have already heard that there are two conversations going on. One is between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, and another is Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami, he is continuing to explain to the sages at Naimisharanya that when Narad Muni came, he was, respectfully, asked by Vyasadeva, gave him a nice seat, to sit down, and inquired from him. So now Narad Muni sat down and he smiled. And he smiled while addressing Vyasadeva. So in this first verse of this chapter, we see Narad Muni is addressed as sage amongst gods. He's talking about demigods. So that is a position of Narad Muni. He's very, very elevated Mahajana. And Vyasadeva is referred as Rishi amongst the Brahmanas. Now, if you'll remember in Bhagavad Gita, we studied the different qualities that a Brahmana has. How do we recognize who's a Brahmana? And here Vyasadeva, he's a rishi amongst the Brahmanas. Now the question arises, why was Narad Muni smiling? Right? If someone asks a question and we smile, then there has to be a reason behind it. So he was smiling because he knew why was Vyasadeva disappointed? Why was Vyasadeva not satisfied after writing the Vedas? He could understand that Vyasadeva had not presented the science of devotional service sufficiently. So basically, Narad Muni, being the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, he knew the defect. He knew what the problem was. So before giving the solution, the spiritual master Narad Muni is asking a question to his disciple Vyasadeva. Are you satisfied? Very, very important. You've done such a great job. You've written all the Vedas. You've divided one Veda into 4. You've written the Puranas and the Mahabharata. Are you satisfied? Because identifying with the body or the mind as objects for self-realization does not bring satisfaction. You see? So indirectly, what Narad Muni was doing, the spiritual master, he was hinting the cause of hopelessness of Vyasadeva. Now, Vyasadeva was a very great, powerful sage. He had a great parentage, as I mentioned. His father was Parashar Muni, and his mother was Satyavati. And he should not have been, feeling hopeless. The reason was he had identified with the self with body and mind. He should not have, but that is what whatever he had put in the Vedas was indicating. So Narad Muni, he is first encouraging Vyasadeva, and he's saying, yes, whatever you asked me, very good. Your studies, they were very well fulfilled. You have prepared a great work, especially the Mahabharata. So why are you hopeless? Why are you feeling despondent? So Vyasadeva said, everything that you've said is correct, but still I'm not pacified. So I'm questioning you, I'm requesting you to let me know what is the cause of my dissatisfaction. You see? He's telling Narad Muni, you have unlimited knowledge. You're son of Brahma, who is self-born. If you remember, we learned last week how Brahma appears from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So Brahma has no material parents, no father, no mother. He appears from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So he is informing Narad Muni that you're the son of Brahma who is self born. You see? So I would like to know from you, why am I feeling hopeless? Why am I feeling dissatisfied? See? This is the relationship between a spiritual master and a disciple. A disciple inquires, makes very important, asks very important questions, and it is the duty of the bona fide spiritual master to satisfy the disciple with correct answers, answers in reference to the scriptures. So here he is looking for guidance from his spiritual master Narad Muni. In fact, he is praising his spiritual master, saying, you worship the Supreme Lord, you're fully engaged in serving Krishna, and such devotees, they are perfect in devotional service. So, and also such devotees, they can act with spiritual perfection, which means Narad Muni is 100% perfect devotee of Krishna. So Vyasadeva, he continues glorifying his spiritual master Narad Muni. He says, you're like a sun who travels everywhere in the three worlds, and you're as good as the super soul in the heart. So please let me know what is the deficiency in me. A very important question. In general, people don't like anyone pointing out our deficiencies, finding faults with us. Oh, you are like this, or you don't have this, or no. People in general don't like that. But here, a true disciple is one who is inquiring from his guru. Please tell me, what are the deficiencies in me? And immediately Narad Muni says, you have not broadcasted the glories of Supreme Lord. You have not glorified Krishna in all the literatures that you have written. You see? So he says the knowledge that does not satisfy the senses of the Supreme Lord is worthless. Because until and unless the Supreme Lord is satisfied, we will not feel satisfied at all. Why? Because Jivera Swarup hoy, Krishna Nitya Das. Our position is to be eternal servant of Krishna. So when we satisfy Krishna's senses, we get satisfied automatically. And how do we satisfy his senses? By following his instructions. So Narad Muni is saying, you have described everything in the Vedas so far, but you have not described the glories of Krishna. You see, the spiritual master can immediately diagnose the problem. He can immediately find out what is wrong in the disciple and then correct. You see? So you have described everything. You've described about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You described our religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, liberation. You've described everything. But you forgot to describe the glories of the Supreme Lord, because only and only by devotional service to Krishna can one become satisfied and achieve the highest perfection of life, which means becoming self realized. You see? So Narad Muni is continuing to give guidance to his disciple Vyasadeva that literature that describes the pastimes of Supreme Lord can bring a revolution in the impious lives of misdirected civilization. That is what we see. The people in general in this Kali Yuga, they are misdirected. Most don't know that there is God, and those who know, they don't know who is God. They just believe in what they've heard or what their parents, grandparents, or whoever has given them that information. Very, very few are actually seeking real knowledge. So Narad Muni is saying that you have to describe the pastimes of Krishna, because that literature is accepted by purified people who are honest. Because saintly people, they are always absorbed in glorifying Krishna. Now, after trying to explain to Vyasadeva what is the problem, why is he dissatisfied, Narad Muni says, your vision is perfect. You see, your good fame is also spotless, and you're very firm in your vow. You are suitable in truthfulness. That means you are honest. So, you can think about the pastimes of Krishna in trance, and that will help people to get liberated from this material bondage. In other words, Narad Muni wants Vyasadeva to write about Krishna's glories so that we people, especially in Kali Yuga, can get liberation. We can get the opportunity to come out of the material world, because most people, we are stuck in this material world. We are just going through the cycle of birth, disease, old age, death over and over again. You see? So those who are eager to hear, to read about the glories of Krishna, they are the ones who are the most fortunate. Because Srimad Bhagavatam, it is meant for people all over the universe. It's not, Srimad Bhagavatam is not just for Hindus or this kind of people or that. No, it's universal. Because God is one. There's only one God. We are all children of the same Supreme Lord. So all the glories of the Supreme Lord is universal. It's for everybody. See? So here, in one of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada says that Vyasadeva, he has described the transcendental realization by fruitive activities, speculative knowledge, mystic power, etc., etc. Even in the Puranas, he has recommended demigod worship. So the result is people are puzzled. How can we fix our mind? There are so many different demigods. How to perform devotional service? So they are always disturbed and they are running here and there. There are very few who want the real path of self-realization. So Narad Muni, in this chapter, he is hinting to Vyasadeva that actually you shouldn't have compiled Puranas at all because there's slight deviation, and slight deviation can create havoc for those who are on the path of self-realization. Why? Because people in general, they want to enjoy. They want to enjoy their senses. So Narad Muni is saying, you have actually encourage them for sense gratification, to enjoy the senses. But human life is not meant for eat, sleep, and be merry. It's not for enjoying the senses. It is an opportunity to come out of the cycle of birth and death. You see, that is the purpose of the Vedas, to break the cycle and go back to Godhead, which is the spiritual world. So the only occupation of us human beings is to connect with Krishna. How do we connect with Krishna? I talk about this in every class. It's mantra meditation. We chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Narad Muni is guiding his disciple Vyasadeva, and he's telling him that those who are very materially attached, they are the ones who need to be shown the way of self-realization. You see? So Vyasadeva, you please describe the transcendental activities of Supreme Lord. This is what a teacher is, a guru is. He is an expert. He himself has studied the science of self-realization. He's himself practicing devotional service. He is purified himself, and now he's able to guide his disciple. You see, in the Bhagavad Gita, we learn Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddha. Out of thousands, hardly one will try for self-realization. Hardly one. And after that, Krishna says, out of those thousands who have achieved that position of self-realization, hardly one knows me in truth. So it's a long way, long process. So here Narad Muni is guiding Vyasadeva for our benefit, so that Vyasadeva can write Srimad Bhagavatam for us. That is describing the pastimes of not only Krishna, but also his pure devotees. So Narad Muni is actually praising his disciple by saying, you are an expert. And if you write the Srimad Bhagavatam glories of Krishna, that will actually be like a medication for a diseased person. So that indicates that we are diseased in this material world, diseased by Maya, illusion. We think I am never going to die. We think that this body is for enjoying the senses, to enjoy this body. We think just consider this material world to be a clubhouse and have fun. No, that is a disease. So the medication is Srimad Bhagavatam. So those who are in Maya, in illusion, Srimad Bhagavatam can help them. You see, it's a literary incarnation of Krishna. So Prabhupada says one must inject, like an injection when, we have some infection in the body and we want quick result, the doctor gives an injection and that goes directly inside the body and starts working. So here Prabhupada says one must inject the dull brains with Srimad Bhagavatam, which means one must hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And also there is a possibility that, one may fall down while performing this, path of bhakti yoga. For some time one may fall down, which means one may stop chanting, one may stop hearing or reading or whatever it is. But Narad Muni says there is no danger of being unsuccessful. One is never a loser by surrendering to Krishna. It may be for a few hours, few days, few weeks, few years. It doesn't matter. Because whatever bhakti we perform, we do not lose the benefit of that. You see? So it always stays with us. One is never a loser. We get so many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam about this subject. One is Bharat Maharaj, the king, who had actually become attached to a deer. And at the time of death, he was thinking about that deer. And so the next body he got was that of a stag. But he did not forget all the bhakti that he had done as Bharat Maharaj. He remembered it. Even though he was in the body of a stag, he remembered. So even a little bit of devotional service that we do, it can save us from the most dangerous position. That is why in every class I, emphasize the importance of mantra meditation. We need to chant every day. That is our medication. You see? Another example is given of Ajamil. We will read about these pastimes as we, continue on these different chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva that, happiness and distress, they come and go. And they are obtained, automatically based on our karma. Whatever past karma we have, we will either get happiness or distress, right? We have learned that in Bhagavad Gita also. Matra sparshastu kantya shitoshana sukha dukkha. These, they come and go like summer and winter season. But an intelligent person should endeavor to continue on this path of bhakti yoga, not get entangled in these material activities, because this material world is a place of misery. I was talking to Christina just before the class started, and we were discussing how this body also causes a lot of pain, right? Sometimes it's well, sometimes it's not well, sometimes medication works, sometimes it doesn't work. So it's all our karma, past karma. But hearing Srimad Bhagavatam will cleanse our heart, it'll make our mind stronger, and then we will not get affected by these miseries. Bhagavad Gita says, "A Brahma Bhavana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna." That all are places of misery, right from Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet. All places are misery. They are all temporary. You see? So, no amount of enjoying these senses can satisfy one. So, Narad Muni is explaining to his disciple Vyasadeva the importance of bhakti yoga, importance of hearing the pastimes of Krishna. And he says that even if a person falls down, you see, he does not have to undergo material existence like others. Because once one comes to devotional service, the taste for bhakti yoga remains. Even though one may say, I don't want to chant today, I'll chant tomorrow or day after, I don't want to attend class, maybe next week I can, but the taste will still remain. See? So that is important. So it is very, very important that we keep a good association. If for many times I give this example that if I start associating with someone who drinks alcohol a lot, even though I don't drink, I will develop a tendency to enjoy it. I would want to try it. It's because of the association. So, if we associate with those who are interested in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, those who are practicing Bhakti Yoga, those who are doing mantra meditation on a daily basis, then we'll develop a desire to follow in their footsteps. So, Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva that even if a devotee falls down, he does not undergo material existence like the others. So it's very important to keep good association and also be careful that we don't get into wrong association, because if we do, then we will stop performing bhakti yoga completely, you see. But even if one does, Narad Muni is saying, even if one leaves, say, supposing one is chanting for X number of time, and then decides, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Krishna will bring back that devotee somehow or the other. So he's telling Vyasadeva, everything comes from Krishna, everything rests in Krishna, and everything enters into Krishna after annihilation, you see. You know that people in Kali Yuga, they are entrapped, they are so conditioned that they only think about the body. So you make them understand with your literature, with your writing, Srimad Bhagavatam, make them understand that one should come out of this conditioned, body concept of life and understand that Krishna is the cause of all causes. So all these misguided human beings, they need to be told about the supremacy of Krishna. So expand this idea in Srimad Bhagavatam. Let everyone know how great Krishna is. Let everyone hear about the pastimes of Krishna. You have perfect vision, he tells his disciple. Perfect. You see, you know, and you are birthless. Vyasadeva has no birth, no death. He is birthless because he is the Supreme Lord himself. He's an incarnation of Krishna, right? And you have appeared for the well being of all people. So, describe the pastimes of Krishna. But this time, you do it more vividly, very, very clearly. You describe most of the past. Of course, it's not possible to describe all the pastimes of Krishna because they are unlimited. But Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva, you've come down for a purpose, so you show your mercy. People have forgotten how to love Krishna. They've forgotten who is Krishna. They are not serving, even though they are servants of the Supreme Lord, they are not serving. So Vyasadeva is now thinking about everything that his guru is telling him. Now, Vyasadeva is not dependent on his guru because he is incarnation of Krishna. But because he has come as a student, he himself, Vyasadeva himself, is the guru. He is himself the spiritual master of everyone. But he's showing us by example how to get knowledge from a bona fide guru. So he's accepting a guru, that is Narad Muni. Krishna, when he came 5,000 years ago, he accepted Sandipani Muni as his guru, even though he doesn't need a guru, he is himself a guru. When Krishna came down 540 years ago as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he accepted Ishvara Puri as his guru to show us by example. You see? So it's important to have a bona fide spiritual master in our spiritual lives. So Narad Muni, he wants Vyasadeva to explain the purpose of whatever he is going to write. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. And the purpose is to develop love for Krishna. You see? Knowledge should culminate in describing Supreme Lord. And that culmination should be realization of the Supreme Lord. Then Narad Muni in this chapter, he describes his previous life. He describes the previous birth, who was he? I think I gave a synopsis of it maybe one or two classes before, but here in this chapter he describes very clearly that I was a son of a maid servant, who used to wash dishes and do the laundry, etc. in different people's homes. They were very, very poor, and one time during the rainy season of 4 months, some very learned brahmanas, they came to stay in one house, and they were called Vedantas. So they were living there for 4 months to give this knowledge about the Supreme Lord. And Narad Muni, he got completely engaged in their service. He did personal service to them, like, doing their laundry, helping his mother to wash dishes. And he would sit down and hear. He would hear from them about Krishna. And the way he served was with full surrender and not haphazardly or not, half-heartedly. With full surrender, he, served them. So Srila Prabhupada explains that before serving Krishna, we must learn to serve the devotees of Krishna. Because serving the devotees of Krishna is greater than personal service of Krishna. And for that, one must choose a bona fide servant of the Supreme Lord and serve. So those pure devotees, they were served by Narad Muni. So those great personalities, they blessed him. They gave him mercy. And they were very pleased that Narad Muni was self-controlled, even though he was 5 years old. He had no attachment to sports. That's what this chapter says. He wasn't like, oh, let me go play soccer or cricket. No, he was not attached to any of that. He was not even naughty. He was a good child. And he spoke only when required. You see? So all these qualities when these devotees saw, pure devotees, they initiated this 5-year-old boy, and this made him more disciplined. And Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva that only once I took the permission from these great sages, and I took the remnants of their food, and immediately all his sins were wiped away. That is the power of prasadam. When we cook something, we offer it to Krishna, that becomes prasadam, and that has a lot of potency. But when that prasadam is eaten by a pure devotee, the remnants of that becomes mahaprasadam, which is greater, it's more powerful. So immediately this 5-year-old boy became purified in heart, and he became attracted to Krishna. And it was like he got an infectious disease, you can say, of pure devotion. Pure devotion. And it is said by Prabhupada that this pure devotion is actually infectious. Pure devotees, they can clear out all the sins. So associating with pure devotees is very, very helpful, like it helped this 5-year-old boy. It helped him to progress spiritually. You see, remove all the obstacles from his path of bhakti. So he could hear these devotees describe the activities of Krishna. He heard attentively, and his taste for hearing increased. So just by hearing, we can connect with Krishna. And that is why we have these Bhagavatam classes, so that we can hear about Krishna. So just by hearing, Narad Muni became a great sage. One who has an eternal life, unlimited knowledge, full of bliss. Now he can travel all over the planets, different planets, material planets, spiritual planets, anywhere. You see, one can attain the highest perfection just by hearing. So hearing should be from the right source. And the first point is, by hearing, this little boy, he understood the difference between body and soul. And he heard about Krishna for all 4 months. So immediately he progressed from the mode of ignorance to passion to goodness to pure goodness. All sins eradicated, strong faith in his heart, all his senses controlled, strictly following all the rules and regulations. This is how one can achieve highest perfection. This is how one can elevate oneself. So before these sages, these pure devotees left, they instructed this boy, this 5-year-old boy, about the most confidential subject, which is Bhakti Yoga. He understood. He understood who is Krishna. He understood how Krishna's different energies work. You see? So by hearing about Narad Muni as the son of a maidservant, it gives us knowledge and understanding how we can spiritualize our material activities. Whatever we do, we can spiritualize it. That is the secret of spiritual success. Understanding everything belongs to Krishna and everything should be used in his service. So Narad Muni is saying, work done in this life for satisfying Krishna is called Bhakti Yoga. See, Krishna wants all of us to come back to the spiritual world, but for that we need to purify ourselves. So when we hear, when we chant, it helps us in purification. See, so Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva that let us chant the glories of Vasudev Krishna along with his plenary expansions, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. And then he gives a beautiful verse, Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Aniruddhaya Namaha Sankarshanaya Cha. This is actually a Vedic hymn. Vasudev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, 4. These are the expansions of the Supreme Lord. So this chapter describes that Vasudev and Sankarshana, they are on the middle, left and right. Pradyumna is on the right of Sankarshana, Aniruddha is on the left of Vasudev. This is how these 4 deities are situated. So main point of this chapter is that we need to hear and we need to chant. When we chant, we start connecting with Krishna. You see, Krishna in this Kali Yuga is worshipped through mantra meditation. Anything beyond our scope of experience through our imperfect senses, we can realize simply by sound vibration. What sound vibration for Kali Yuga? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This will bring us closer to Krishna. So Narad Muni finally in this chapter, he is continuing to guide Vyasadeva. He says Krishna has endowed him with transcendental knowledge of himself, then with spiritual opulences, then intimate loving service. This is the process. And when Krishna is pleased, he'll reveal himself only to those who have unflinching faith in him. Not only in him, but also in a bona fide spiritual master. See? So Narad Muni is telling Vyasadeva, please describe Krishna's activities. All that you have learned by your vast knowledge of Vedas, when you describe Srimad Bhagavatam, describe Krishna's activities, that will satisfy everybody, even the learned people. That will mitigate all the miseries which, happen due to material pranks. There is no other way. That is the only way to come out of the cycle of misery. So he's guiding Vyasadeva from his personal example, showing how just by serving pure devotees, just by hearing attentively, just by chanting, he was able to get an eternal life as a great sage, Narad Muni. So he wants his student, his disciple, to broadcast very widely about Krishna. This is what he is telling him to please write Srimad Bhagavatam. So he's explaining to Vyasadeva the reason for his dissatisfaction, because whatever he has written so far has not glorified Krishna exclusively. You see? Any literature that does not glorify Krishna does not satisfy the heart. So pure devotional service is the highest path. So Narad Muni is emphasizing on Bhakti Yoga, which is superior to speculation. He wants him to write Srimad Bhagavatam. You see, material literature, it is attractive for some time. It's temporary. But spiritual literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, it purifies the heart and it uplifts the reader also. You see, material topics attract restless minds. But spiritual divine topics, it attracts spiritually advanced people. So if you really want to advance, then we should focus on hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, because hearing will help us to cleanse our heart, remove the suffering, and awaken devotion in our hearts, you see. So here we see in this chapter, he's narrating his own personal example to show how devotion can transform a person. Pure devotion to Krishna and hearing his glories. This is the highest path of perfection. So I'm very, very grateful to all of you for joining practically every Sunday to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and also inquire more and get more knowledge. And please, my humble request, as always, is please do mantra meditation every day. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we will soon see how the heart starts getting purified and we feel more happy. So I'm going to end now. If anyone has any questions or comments, you're welcome to